Good evening. My name is Sarah Gwynwood, Chair of the Natural Resources Commission, and I'm calling this public meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up on the commission table and plans will be projected through the TV monitor. If you're presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it is time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of any commissioner attending virtually and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not yet been heard will automatically continue to the August 21st meeting. Please note that the meeting is being recorded. At this time, I would like the commissioners to introduce themselves, please.
Ed Nardi. Gary Kleiman.
Do we have?
Nope.
No, and
You're it.
okay. And I'm Sarah Gwynwood. Okay. So first on the agenda, do we have any public comment? Remember, this should be anything that is not actually in the agenda. Is there any?
No.
Okay. And I see we have to approve meeting minutes, and I'm so, oh, we don't, okay, I didn't think we did, okay, good.
There's not a quorum tonight of members who
Okay.
are in attendance at the May meeting.
Okay, so, yeah, great, okay. Commissioners' comments. I have a comment, but is there any other comments from the commissioner?
None for me.
Okay, so the only thing I wanted to just touch on was, in the Concord Bridge, July 19th. Is that the last one, July 19th? Maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. There was an opinion letter about, it's called Bring Open Water Back to Fairyland. By Linda McGuire from Independence Road, who was commenting that the Town Forest Fairyland Pond has become very overgrown by filling in with plants, and it's hard to see the water at all, and is just lamenting that it's very disappointing that this isn't being taken care of, and is asking, hoping that the Historic Commission or the Recreation Commission or Natural Resources Commission will explain the rationale for letting it get to this point. And I believe that this is under the jurisdiction of the NRC, right?
Yeah.
And just to acknowledge that the Natural Resources Department manages 1,500 acres of conservation land, correct? And within that, there's actually four what, not inland ponds, which get impounded, thank you, impounded ponds. So Warner's Pond, which we know there's a lot of discussion going on at the moment with the task force, Fairyland, Hutchins Pond, and also Macomb. And unfortunately, there just aren't the resources to keep all of them clear all the time. Don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that?
No, it's an endemic problem with
Yeah.
impoundment ponds, so we can.
Thank you. If there's no other commissioner comments, then director's report, Delia, please.
So if you're on news and notices, or you saw the notice on the door, you will see that there was a sanitary sewer overflow discharge from Framingham yesterday. It was between 4:30 and 9 p.m. Yesterday, it was about 550,000 gallons that was released into the Sudbury River. That is approximately the volume of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And according to ORS, the sewage is anticipated to reach the Assabet-Sudbury confluence 35 hours after the end of the discharge, or by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So obviously, a concern to have raw sewage going into the Assabet River. We have advised ORS, CLCT, Minuteman, the Cananton people who do a lot of water chestnut removal on Sudbury. Obviously, town departments are all aware. There was the news and notices. We've been in contact
Mhm.
with, other communities who are affected. And the Department of Public Health has advised that nobody is in contact with the water in the Sudbury River or the Concord River for 48 hours after the discharge. And so we've posted notices at Old Calf Pasture, which is the canoe
Mhm.
access, also at October Farm Riverfront and Robinson Well, because dogs are known to be using those river access points.
Mhm.
We also gave advisories to the Southbridge Boathouse and the Old Manse, just trying to spread the word as broadly as possible.
Yeah, has there been consideration for putting something on the town website?
It was released.
Oh, it was.
It was put out
Okay,
on
good.
news and notices today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
good.
What caused the release? Was it just a?
I don't know whether it was a release from a wastewater treatment facility. I'm not sure, but it
Breakage or-
wasn't,
yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay, just
Um,
curious.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was, it was 4.5 hours
It's a lot.
Yeah,
before it was noticed, but then it was, addressed. And I mean, it is just raw untreated sewage with an SSO as opposed to a CSO, which is combined.
Storm and drain, yeah.
storm
So
and
just
sewer.
Pure
It's a
sewer.
pure sewage.
But usually the CSO discharges, when they do happen, are much higher. I mean, this was 500,000 plus or minus
Mm,
gallons and those CSO discharges can be millions.
Ah.
N-
Right.
Not that that makes it any better. I mean,
Yeah.
it's obviously still,
Sure.
not,
Yeah.
not good,
Not good.
but that's just a little bit of context. So we also learned that there is Japanese hops. It is a likely invasive on the invasive plant advisory group. So it's not a known invasive like buckthorn and multiflora and bittersweet, but it's a likely invasive. So it's very aggressive, just hasn't been categorized. That was identified on the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail Phase 2D, so the section between the Powder Mill and Sudbury Town Line. It's also in Sudbury, so it appears to have come in with contractor Phil.
Hmm.
The contractor is still on board and has
Mhm.
not, so they are out, they are spraying that, and we will be sure that they eradicate that fully
Mhm.
before, that project receives a certificate of
Mm.
compliance, before we advise.
What was the project? It was
So that's the Bruce Freeman Phase 2D, that last section
yeah,
in Concord that
next
runs
to
into
White Pine.
Sudbury, correct?
yeah.
And that's where it sprouted.
It was infill that was brought in,
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
yeah,
shoulders.
okay.
So will that have to be monitored for several years now?
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
No, that's too bad.
Yeah, that is too bad. The Ag Day is upcoming, 2024 Ag Day is upcoming this year. It is scheduled for Saturday, September 7th, running between 10 AM and 2 PM. And it would be great if NRC members would like to table with the Land Trust. So I'll send an email out about that and you can just let me know if you're interested.
I'm away, unfortunately.
You're away.
Yeah.
Okay.
What day is that? Is that a
Saturday.
Saturday?
Mhm.
Okay.
So if people are around and can table,
Yeah.
I'll send something around so you can just let me know.
Oh, that'd be great.
dates,
Thank
times,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, the Warner Spawn Task Force will hold their next meeting on August 13th, 5 o'clock, Harvey Wheeler and on Zoom. And they have developed subgroups, 3 subgroups, one for dredging, one for dam removal, and one for short-term no action. And those groups will be meeting and some have already met before the next meeting. And they will also devote a large part of that August 13th meeting to further discussion of those subgroups. So they're really sort of diving into, just getting into the meat of the matter, if you will.
So at this
Yeah.
point, they've reviewed a lot of the background documentation. They've decided how to organize themselves, and they're now diving into these three subgroups that they will
Exactly.
explore
Mhm.
and presumably present back to the full committee for
Right.
consideration.
Right, so what they're intending to do
Yeah.
is each of the subgroups will develop one or more proposals
Mhm.
to bring back to the larger task force. And those will be evaluated in terms of the Envision Concord criteria and how they determine whether or not to proceed with a proposal will be voted on by the task force
Yeah.
at large as a full group.
No, I mean, you answered my question, which was about the criteria. So they'll be
Yeah.
looking at, not just cost, but recreational amenities,
Yep.
accessibility, all these things. And
Right.
okay,
And that's it for
So
me.
how does it work with the public meeting then, if they're in subgroups?
So the town clerk has advised that they can break into subgroups as long as they reconvene into the task force
To
and
report back?
each group reports back, and so that can then get captured in the minutes. And these are both hybrid and Zoom. And so members of the public can choose where they would like to be,
Hmm.
both on
Okay.
Zoom. They can do breakout rooms for the
Oh,
groups.
really?
So they're
Oh,
going,
that's
Yeah.
great.
okay,
Yeah.
so you can physically go and join one of the groups, or
Mhm.
you can just listen into.
You can,
Okay.
and you can go in between if
You
you
can
sort of
kind
start
of do a
listening
bit
to
of
one
one.
and you think, I want to hear what the
Okay,
other group is talking about. You can move between
Okay.
subgroups
and
online.
are they posting an agenda of what each one is going to talk about? Like
Yes.
if they had an expert in or something, they would post that in advance so that people would know.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, interesting.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Jean.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we have one continuance today. This is an NOI for DP file 1371674, Middlesex School at 1400 Lowell Road. So who do we have representing
Hi,
Middlesex?
Stephen
Stephen.
Ventresca. Hi, how are you? With Niche Engineering, and I also have Kathy with Arcadis as the landscape
Hello.
architect.
Thank you.
I'm gonna share screen, Delia,
Yep. 1 second, I'm
when
sorry.
you're, yep. Oh, no, that's fine.
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a quick refresher, this is Middlesex School. This is the new athletic field house that we discussed with the commission last month. I don't know what you're seeing now.
The
It's-
area
So-
photo.
Let's try screen 3 again.
3 screens. That's fancy, Steve.
Well, it's fancy, yeah. Fancy in the city. I don't know. Are you seeing the image of the site
Aerial
Aerial.
photo.
aerial? Perfect. Okay. My screen isn't lighting up, so I just want to make sure you're not seeing anything else. Okay. The athletic center is proposed to be on this existing gravel parking lot here. For context, we have the Or Gym, which is this building over here to the right, and then the rest of the complex over here as well. The wetlands in question are these here, which are outlined with the buffer zones of the 25, 50, and the 100-foot. And so at the last hearing, we went through the project with the commission. There were a couple of comments that we responded to specifically about dewatering. So we worked with the contractor to provide an additional information on the erosion control plan, which showed dewatering for in this piece down here, we're showing dewatering for the 6 geothermal wells that are proposed, which will be dug along the southern edge of the site of the limit of work location here. And so we're proposing frac tanks to an elevated or a basin to provide additional sedimentation and then the discharge towards this existing basin here with some silt sack or other appropriate method for capturing sediment. And then additionally, we provided indications for dewatering of foundation. And just as a reminder to the commission, this is a podium building, so it's not a traditional foundation where you excavate out the entire length of the building for a foundation. This will just have columns that will be driven through, excavated through the earth. And so for that dewatering, we're proposing a stilling basin with sediment controls and additional gravel line swale to an existing basin that's also having a silt sack or similar to provide additional desedimentation for that process. And then the other comment that we heard from the commission was the plantings in the buffer zone. And so those have been updated and revised to show along this edge here in particular, serviceberry and hydrangeas. Just pointing out that we have a Princeton elm that's proposed here. And then Kathy can talk to a little bit more of the, if anything else was, oh, I'm sorry. And then
Yeah.
Kathy can speak to the trees themselves, but then I just want to point out that we are looking to do 853 square feet of remediation, removal of invasives, and planting of native species, which are indicated on the note down here, the sequence of how that would happen. And then, sorry, Kathy, before you jump in, or questions from the commission, we did hear about the open orders of conditions. We are compiling the requirements for those. Sorry, maybe it's 5 out of the 7. So we're compiling that, and we're getting a game plan ready, and we'll speak with you, Delia, sort of offline as this process continues, so that we can start to close these open orders of conditions for you over the next several months. So with that, if the commission has any questions or comments that we can address.
No, that all sounds great. Good, thank you.
We hear about the trees, or?
Yeah,
Do you need me
Okay.
to go through any of the detail?
I have just out of interest, the 3 trees that you're taking down, I can never say,
Amelanchier.
Amelanchier, thank you. Are they savable? Are you going to put them somewhere else, or are they just too big to?
Yeah,
Transplant.
unfortunately, all of them are too big to transplant, even
Oh.
the smallest, I think it's 5 inches. I mean, they could be, we could attempt to, but the chance of survival isn't very
Right.
high, but I'm certainly very willing to talk to the school about giving it a shot. There's, the expense of doing that, and then the likelihood of them
Yeah.
dying is
I was just
is
interested.
something to consider, but
Not requesting
yeah.
it, just interested. It just seems a
Yep.
shame then. We've got
Oh,
a photo.
sure.
It's really
Sure,
nice.
of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're always very reluctant to take trees down. I'm a tree hugger, but I'm happy to report that we're giving back caliper inches in a multiple versus what we are removing. So that's a good thing.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission? Comments?
Not necessarily,
Not
the
really.
dewatering looks pretty robust,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah.
Nice
Yeah.
to see,
Yeah.
especially in the
Yeah.
geo wells.
And the stormwater report's still being reviewed, so we have to wait for that,
Yeah.
correct?
Correct. We did
Um,
receive comments. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We did receive comments from the peer review earlier this week. Delia, I assume that you were copied on that with from Elizabeth. If not, I can forward those comments to you.
Yeah, I haven't seen those.
Oh, would you like a copy?
I can get them from Elizabeth. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so we're
Okay.
preparing responses to those comments, and within the next couple of weeks, we're hoping to resolve these open items.
Great, so are you okay continuing to August 21st then?
We
Should
are,
everything be done by then? Yep. Great,
That
We-
requires submission by August 3rd or something, is that right?
Was
It's
it
just
a
looking
week
at
from
the-
Friday?
So a week from next Friday.
Right, so the question is whether
Oh,
this
yeah.
will have a response to the peer review by then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so so we would like to continue to the 21st.
Yeah.
My sense is that the back and forth that we'll have to do will not meet the requirements for NRC submitting documents 3 weeks before the next hearing. So I guess where the question is, the September hearing is, do you have that scheduled just for so
Mhm.
that we understand when that next one is? And so I don't know if you're towards the end of
It's the
September.
second,
September
second
11th.
Wednesday, September 11th, is that right?
Oh,
After August 21st, it's September 11th, and things should be submitted by August 21st.
okay. So that is probably,
Oh,
that works.
For new submittals,
Oh,
continuances are a little bit,
Oh.
you have a 9 days instead of
Okay.
3 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, new applications.
Oh.
And so just to give our, so that would
9 days.
be, yeah, so 9 days. So September 2nd, it sounds like. We would have to have it squared.
Yeah.
So just to give the commission in Delia our timeline right now. So we are going back to, we're not going back. We're gonna present to ZBA on August 8th. That hearing will be continued to September 19th. Between August 8th and September 19th, our intent is to close out the peer review comments for stormwater and any other town comments that would inform the conditions that Elizabeth or for the planning board would submit to zoning board. And our hope and intent is to close out on the 19th. And so I don't know, I guess it's to the commission. Are you comfortable closing on the 11th of September, assuming everything is buttoned up accordingly, or do you need to wait until after?
I think
Close
if the
out.
stormwater review looks good.
Okay,
I mean, typically the NRC will close before,
Mhm.
ZBA,
Yeah.
vote, so I
Okay.
don't think that would be an issue, but it's obviously
Okay.
we have to wait and see what
yeah,
how it shakes out.
okay, that's fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we finish this discussion, are there any public comment? I don't even know if there's anyone else out there, is there?
See anyone?
No, okay, great. Great. Okay, thank you. So we'll see you on September 11th,
August 21st.
August 21st, okay.
And
Yeah.
if we need to
there's-
continue, we'll let you know.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
but
so
there's
much.
almost 2 weeks to,
Yeah,
if the stormwater review's already back, hopefully.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
quite 2 weeks, but almost.
All right,
And thank you for
Okay,
taking care of everything we brought up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
no, thank you for your comments. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
So next on the agenda, we have a new application, RDA 24-9. This is for 46 Wood Street. Do we have
Good eve-
anyone?
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Good evening. This is Bob Drew from Battle Associates. I have shared my screen. You can see the site plan, correct?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, great. Good evening, guys. So this is 46 Wood Street. I'll give you a brief overview of the project. There's some work done to the house, but it's really the project is the garage here. There's an existing small garage which is seen a better day. The idea was to tear it down and make a double parked garage, like a deeper garage. And when we decided this project, we had Hancock Associates pull together the survey, where they flagged the wetlands, which created the 100-foot buffer. And we were at least about 44 feet and change away from the buffer from what the data we had. We went through the HDC, went through the ZBA. We thought we were okay with you guys. When we went to pull the permit, when we checked the town GIS, I guess that 100-foot buffer is much closer to the back of the house and through the back of the garage. So we circled back with Hancock Associates. They confirmed everything, the wetlands, the 100-foot buffer. They also added the FEMA zone, the 120-foot FEMA zone AE. So we just make sure we had everything, all the, should I say ducks in a row? So we double checked everything. We had a kind site visit with Albert on, I think it was the 18th, and I walked, thanks for letting me be there. And we kind of walked through the site and the dimensions and everything. So this is kind of a request for different determination. We think the 100-foot buffer is here.
Looks very straightforward. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any comments?
No comments here.
No?
So this is just confirming that,
Just confirming,
Bert has
yeah.
confirmed the wetland delineation is showing that the work is outside
Yeah.
of 100 feet from,
Yeah.
from that
Yeah,
actual
From those
wetlands,
lines.
which
Yeah.
shows is closer on the GIS.
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. Okay, any public comment on this? Okay, so we're to issue a negative determination, but is there something to read out?
And that's
Oh,
all
I
it is.
just need a
Is that
motion.
all
That's
it
it.
is? Okay,
Okay.
Make the motion or-
sure.
Yeah, thank
I'll
you,
make-
Barry. Oh,
Here,
whoever,
you wanna make them?
I'll go for it.
I move that we, it's not closed, right? It's not
Issue.
hearing.
No,
So it's
that's
just, I
right.
move that we issue a negative determination number 4 for RDA 24-9 of Battle Architects for the project at 46 Wood Street.
I second that.
Thank you both. And the vote, Gary,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I'm an I as well. So thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Thank
you too.
Thank you. Next, I believe we have an extension request. I'm looking at the right.
Yes, so this is an extension request from the division, and this is to continue invasive species management work at Old Calf Pasture. We have been working with Native Plant Trust since 2010 to manage glossy buckthorn on that parcel so that we can protect, preserve, enhance the population of Britain's violet. It is the largest regional population of that state listed species. It's listed as threatened, which is the second category of rare plants. And so obviously a high priority for management. We received the permit in 2015 and had it extended once for 3 years, and we're requesting another 3-year extension to continue that invasive species management.
Excellent. Any questions, comments?
No, it seems straightforward.
Yeah, very good.
All right,
Thank
you want a
you.
motion on that? Okay. I move that we issue a 3-year extension for invasive species management at Old Calf Pasture, DEP file 137-1313, and that would take it to September 3rd, 2027.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. And the vote, Gary,
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And I'm an I as well. Thank you, Dina. Next we have a partial certificate of compliance.
So that was for a demo and rebuilds, and it's a partial because there's some invasives removal and some mitigation plantings work that still needs to be. I think it was performed the first year and then the invasives were left to do their thing, and so they came back in force and killed off the mitigation plantings. I think is what probably happened. So a partial for the house construction and driveway work. With outstanding work to be the mitigation, and we've relayed that to the applicant.
And Delia, when something like that happens, do they just essentially have to go back and plant whatever got killed off and continue to manage?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
And is that-
Whose responsibility?
So it runs with the property.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
property is changing hands. And so this isn't something that the town gets involved in, but generally there's an escrow account that is set up between the seller and the buyer. And that the seller will put money into escrow to complete the outstanding work.
Mhm.
And then once that work has been completed and a full COC is issued, then that escrow is released. That's usually how it's handled.
Mhm,
Okay,
makes sense.
but there's some mechanism to make sure that the work is carried through.
So they don't receive a full COC from you until that work has been completed, and so the cloud remains on the title.
Hmm.
So when they go to sell and if it work has still again not been completed, then starts all over again.
Okay.
Okay, do we
Okay.
need to vote on that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, okay. Can I have a motion, please?
I move we issue a partial COC, certificate of compliance for 69 Pilgrim Road, DEP file number 137-1264.
Second,
Thank you. And the vote, Gary,
Aye.
Ed?
aye.
And I'm an I as well. Thank you very much. And last but not least, we have 2 administrative approvals. 3, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong sheet.
Right, so one was added after the thumbnail and,
Mhm.
right. So 155 Heath Ridge Road, there are 5 large pines that are within striking distance of the house. Will has gone out and evaluated those
Mhm.
and agrees that those are all candidates for removal. And those will be flush cut, praying from the driveway. And we recommend that those are suitable candidates. Middlesex School had an emergency where, last week. So it was the storm last Thursday, one very large red oak fell. Taking out, 2 other significant trees and at least one crashed into the house at 25 Kingman Lane.
Hmm,
Wow.
So those 3 trees have been removed. They were all very close to the house. And we don't believe there is any need for any replacement of trees there or at Heath Bridge. I should have mentioned that as well. 210 Hunters Ridge Road. There are 2 trees that are in bad shape. They're both within striking distance of the driveway and landscaped areas. Possibly the house, but they are in very bad shape.
Mhm.
And the homeowners would like to have both of those removed. And they are open to leaving, one 10-foot snag.
Oh,
Ah,
nice.
great.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you. We don't need to vote on them, we will go then. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. Meeting adjourned.